What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Commander Deck Tech. Today we're doing Colonel Autumn. Like always, guys, I do have the deck here in paper. It's just easier to show you guys the decks here on the screen, at least in my opinion. Let me know down below if you guys like it the way I was doing it before, or if you guys like it this way. Today we do have CJ with us. He broke his foot, so now he's kind of stuck doing magic stuff for the time being. But
True.
Colonel Autumn, if you guys don't know what he is, he's a human soldier, lifelink exploit, which means when he enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice another creature. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on him for each creature you sacrificed. He gives other legendary creatures you control exploit, and whenever a creature you control exploits a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So he's like an Anthem on a stick, pretty much, because we're going to be sacking our tokens, sacking our like non-legendary creatures, and putting +1/+1 counters on everything. So the way I built this deck, it's kind of Black White Legends, with a life gain or like aristocrats type in there. We're gonna gain some life. We're gonna deal some life damage. We're gonna make some cheap tokens, and then we're gonna exploit those tokens with our legendary creatures. But so far, I played 3-4 games with this deck, and it does things. It's not as fast as I would like it, and it's not as aggressive as it could be. But maybe we'll do an updated version. We'll see. I'm going to keep play testing it around, kind of see how I feel about it. But let's jump into this deck, guys. Like always, link to the deck list is down in the description box for you guys to check out, as always. And I'm not going to go over the lands. You guys can check that on the link. And shout out to Architect. Not a sponsor, but so far been pretty good for the whole deck building thing. And they also give you the price option if you want to order the cards. You can check out which different ones. Personally, I use Card Kingdom. Also not a sponsor. Just one of the best places to get your cards outside of your local game store. If you got a local game store, always support your local game store. But they also use like TCG Player, Star City Games, Manapool, Card Market, all the different things. I just prefer Card Kingdom, like I said. So jumping into this deck, guys, we're going to start with the artifacts. We're running your basic artifacts, Arcane Signet, Ashnod's Altar, because like I said, we're doing aristocrat type things, so we want to sack some of our cheaper creatures. Commander Spear, Orzhov Signet, Soul Ring, Swiftfoot Boots, and Wayfarer's Bauble. Wayfarer's Bauble because we don't have much mana ramp in black and white. We are running the land tax, but Wayfarer's Bauble gives a little bit more, especially running the Sun Titan. Always good. So going into creatures, we have Amalia. This one's pretty good, actually. Whenever you gain life, Amalia explores, then destroy all other creatures if its power is exactly 20. So to explore, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a land, it goes into your hand, and if it is not a land, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then you can either put the card back on top or you can put it in your graveyard. So a little bit of deck sifting there. We got Asterion the Decadent. This was another Commander deck tech that I've done, so if you haven't checked that out yet, go check that deck tech out. Another great one. Butcher Malakir, Cruel Celebrant, Daxos blessed by the Sun, another way to gain some life. General Enforcer. Other legendary humans you control have Indestructible. So this is kind of helpful because our commander is a human. We do have a few humans in the deck that are legendary, like the one we're going to get to here. Leonin War Leader, and then McCready, Lamplight Mayor. He is a human. And then stuff like our Massacre Girl. Like, we've got some humans in the deck, legendary humans to use. So, McCready, whenever a creature you control with power 2 or less attacks, it gains Skulk. Our commander is a 2/3 starting out. Now, obviously, kind of goes against the deck a little bit because late game he might not be that good because we hope to get our creatures bigger by that point to get the damage in. But for right now, he's pretty good. Marauding Blight Priest, get a little damage in. Massacre Girl, love this card. Ode Flitterfang. This card so far has been good. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died that turn, create a food token. So it gives us a little more life gain and helps kind of with the whole aristocrats thing. Something's going to die every turn if we're set up. Pawn of Ulamog, Rhea Ivor, Bane of the Bladehold. Why not run some Infect? We're going to be doing lots of damage. Why not some Infect? Shieldred Whispering one, probably one of my favorite Praetors out of the 5. Is it 5 original Praetors? I believe it's 5. Solemn Simulacrum, Soul Warden, Sun Titan, Suture Priest, Sir Conrad the Grim, Teysa, Envoy of Ghosts, just another way to make some cheap tokens that we can sacrifice later. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. It is a legendary human, so is Teysa. But Thalia kind of helps in this deck. The non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. That's across the board. Now, most of our stuff is going to be the creature base. So, I mean, outside of these couple of cheap enchantments and the handful of instants and sorceries. But generally, our deck's going to focus around the creatures. So, like, early game, Thalia's going to be fine. Because Thalia is going to slow our opponents down. And we can get some more of our creatures out on the board. Tomic, Disguised Advocist. Lands on the battlefield, and land cards and graveyards can't be the target of spells and abilities your opponents control. Another legendary human. He has flying, and then your opponents can't play land cards from graveyards. Now, this is kind of my play group specific. My play group, especially this kid back here, plays Thalia and the Gitrog monster. They play a lot. Right now. They play a lot of lands from the graveyard. So something like this, kind of specific to shutting that down. And my LGS where we play, there is some decks that play stuff from lands from the graveyard, so always good to have. Viscera Seer, Sack Outlet, and Wolf Strider is the other Sack Outlet, and then we got Vishkal. Now Vishkal is great because we can sack our legendary creatures that are getting nice and big and plump. Okay, or we can sack the tokens. We can sack tokens to Vishkal if we want. So he can almost be another commander for this deck if you want to run Vishkal instead of the Colonel Autumn. And then we can remove all the +1/+1 counters, and target creature gets -1/-1 for each +1/+1 counter removed, which can get big pretty quick. The enchantments in the deck, we're doing a Johnny's Welcome, Bastion of Remembrance, Blind Obedience. Kind of, in my mind, staples in black and white aristocrats. Like, I feel like you see these three. You could see Authority to the consoles, but I prefer Blind Obedience because of the Extort. Cleric class, if you gain the 1 life, gain that much +1, and then if we level 2 it, we'll put a +1/+1 counter, which makes our stuff bigger, which goes with the theme of the deck. Griffinary, we're going to be gaining life, so we'll make some 2/2 Griffins. Ill-Gotten Inheritance, I'm not crazy about this card. I ain't going to lie to you, I'm not crazy about this card. At the beginning of upkeep, each Ill-Gotten Inheritance deals 1 damage to each opponent, and you gain 1 life. It's minimal. Now, there's probably better options, but for right now, we're running this. Go to land tax, turn 1 land tax, especially if you're not going first, and Orzhov is great. And then Omen of the Dead, because we want some recurrence with stuff in the graveyard if we don't get Shieldred out. Because Shieldred will bring stuff back from the grave, but Omen of the Dead helps us get it back to our hand. Shieldred puts it right on the field. Instance, we got our Dark Ritual because we want to cast stuff early. Deadly Dispute. Holy Day, which is pretty much just fog. Make a Stand. Murder. Path to Exile. Plumb the Forbidden. Revitalize. Settle the Wreckage. Slaughter Pact. Tendrils Corruption. This one is another one that it'd probably be better in mono black. Because it deals X damage to target creature and you gain X life where X is the number of swamps you control. Unless I get an Urborg for this deck. If I get an Urborg, then it might make it a lot better. But for right now, it does its thing. We also got Utter End and Village Rites. And then for sorceries, got Blood Money, Diabolic Tutor, Echoing Return because we want recurrence from the grave, Graceful Restoration, another recurrence, in Garrick's Wake, Profane Tutor, Rhystic Tutor, Rise Again, and Rout. Because we want to get stuff killed. Because we don't want our opponents to have stuff. Leave a comment down below, guys. Let me know what you guys think about this deck. I know it's a little bit obscure. I haven't seen this commander built anywhere else before. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know any suggestions you might have for this deck. And I'll see you guys in the next video.